During our summertime travels, we've all seen road signs honoring our nation's heroes. You might spot one dedicated to Susan B. Anthony, Abraham Lincoln, or, the list goes on and on.
Oh, yeah. But there is one of those special signs right here on Delmarva that is particularly special. So special, in fact, that our friend Jim Duffy of Secrets of the Eastern Shore suspects there is no other sign anywhere in the country more fitting and moving than this one. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good to be here as always.
I need to know what sign you have in mind.
We are on Route 33, Easton, St. Michael's, Tillman Island. There's a sign there that says, "This highway dedicated to Frederick Douglass."
Ah.
All right. He spent much of his very young years here on Delmarva. Then he got sent off to Baltimore by his owner to live with a relative for a while. And then the owner called him back, and he landed in St. Michael's for the first time. So by this time, he, in a kind of a separate story, he has learned to read in an incredible fashion. And one of the first things that happens when he lands on Route 33 is an older black man asks him to teach other kids in the area, black kids in the area, how to read. And he says, "Sure, I'd love to." He's a teenager at this point. That did not go well. The very first class that they held was broken up by a bunch of white men wielding clubs and fists, and it was broken up. So his owner owns a store in St. Michael's, and his owner's customers are furious about the fact that this uppity young black kid from Baltimore is trying to teach their blacks how to read. And they demand that he do something. So what the owner does is he sends him to what is known as a slave breaker, a professional person whose goal in life is to break the spirit of young men. He has to walk from St. Michael's all the way out near Tillman Island to the farm of this slave breaker. That's his first time. That slave breaker is very good at what he does. There's physical torture, there's mental torture. Completely breaks the spirit of this young man. Comes a hot August day, and Frederick Douglass is working in the fields, and he collapses, presumably from heat stroke. That slave breaker doesn't buy it for a second, beats him up. Frederick Douglass runs away. By running away, he's not running away from slavery, he's just running away from a bad situation. What he does is goes right back down Route 33 the second time, begs his owner to take him away from the slave breaker. Owner sends him right back.
Oh, no.
He's got to walk Route 33 for the third time back to the slave breaker. He gets out of there and lands in another farm the following year where he plans his escape from slavery, his bigger escape. There's 4 or 5 co-conspirators in on the plan. One of them turns the whole thing in to the authorities before. So the day before they're supposed to escape, a bunch of white guys show up on this farm, they arrest him, and all the other co-conspirators, hands are tied, they're walking behind a horse. They gotta walk down Route 33 through St. Michael's, all the way to Easton, where they land in jail. He spends 4 or 5 days in jail. His owner, there's like slave dealers measuring his biceps and stuff, wondering how much he's going to be worth because they think the owner's probably going to sell him. The owner comes and picks him up. He's got to walk all the way back down for the 5th time. And along the way, the owner threatens to sell him into slavery. So it's worse, worse, and worse. Yeah. And the Route 33 is so central to this lowest moment of his life. And yet somehow he ended up going back to Baltimore rather than being sold into slavery, where he made his escape from slavery and became the orator, the writer, and the champion of freedom that we all know. And I just made this drive on Tuesday down Route 33, and I was thinking to myself, newsflash, I'm an old man, right? I can look out and I can see some kid, man, woman, young man do something, and I can say, that kid's going nowhere in life. I can have that sort of snap judgment. But every time you ride down Route 33, it's a cautionary word. It's like, no, you don't know what's in store for a young man or a young woman if they just keep putting one foot in front of the other and trying.
Very true.
What a very inspirational story. Jim, thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming in for Throwback Thursday.